everybody, and I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm Dr. Guzey. I'm a professor in College of Education and College of Science. My research focuses on biology education. I taught a session last year. We talked about how teachers decide what to teach in their classrooms. This year, I decided to focus on something else. One of the courses that I'm teaching this semester focuses on STEM education, and I have students from all over the campus, and we have great discussions. I thought we can talk about what STEM education is, what integrated STEM education is today in class. I'm going to try to make it a little bit fun. I didn't know how many of you were going to show up today, so I made 15 copies of a reading, but for those of you who have a laptop or a cell phone, you can Google it and then read it. So what we are going to do is basically we will do a debate. So you will read a very short, very easy reading opinion piece from Washington Post, which was published in around 2015. That time was when people started to talk a lot about STEM education. And nobody had a clear definition of STEM education. Some people just used the acronym STEM education to talk about science education. Some people just used to talk about engineering education, you know. And then this person wrote an opinion piece. That time it made it kind of a big deal because he also has a show on CNN, which I haven't watched before. He has a book I haven't read, but that time this opinion piece made it a big deal. People commented on it, you know. A lot of researchers also wrote reflections about this. So what I want you to do is take some time, read it, identify the misconceptions he has, or basically identify the ideas of him about STEM education. If you agree with his ideas, I'm going to ask you to sit somewhere on this side of the classroom. If you don't agree with his ideas, I'm going to ask you to move somewhere this side of the room. And then I'm going to give this group and that group a little bit time to talk about, you know, why you agree with his ideas, why you don't agree with his ideas, and then we will do a mock debate. You know, does that make sense to you? Okay, so grab a copy, or if you have a laptop, please Google it, find it. I'll give you maybe about like 5-10 minutes to read it, and then whenever you finish it, you decide which group you are going to be. If you agree with him here, if you disagree with him, you will be here. Okay, clear? What's that? The name of the article is Why Americans' Obsession with STEM Education is Dangerous. Did you find it? Okay. We still have a couple extra copies. If you want to grab a copy, you can do that. No, that's fine. You can grab one if you want. Okay, did everybody finish reading? Okay. Any questions about the piece? So do you have an idea about, you think you have valid ideas and you agree with him? If yes, would you please move somewhere in this side of the room? If you don't agree with his ideas, somewhere here. Okay? So I want you guys to just turn back, and then you will have discussions with the others. Okay? Cool. Do you guys want to come here if you want? Okay, so these two tables are discussing together your ideas, why you think he has some valid points, what are these points, and then these two tables are discussing together. If you guys just turn around, and then do you guys want to just make kind of a circle here and then talk about your ideas? And we have a small group here, right? The disagree group, only two of you? Okay, it's going to be an interesting debate, but you need to come up with really good arguments, in order to win the debate. So do you guys want to discuss your ideas, why you think, he doesn't have good points, why you don't agree with these ideas? Okay? Anyone on the borderline, we can basically have those people here too. If you couldn't decide, I don't know, you can join this group. Does that make sense?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
If you couldn't decide, I don't know if I agree with him or I don't agree with him, you can move to this group. Cool. Okay, so this is going to be, again, more like a conversation, a group work thing. You are going to discuss your ideas. What are the points that you agree with him? Why do you think he has valid points? Start discussing those. And this group is going to do the exactly opposite thing. Okay? I'm going to walk around and listen to your conversations, and feel free to ask me any questions if you have about STEM education.
Okay, I think he has valid points when he talks about the self-confidence that we get, and the creativity with the liberal education versus in China, and how that's good because that's why people start companies and even when they may not work, they keep trying anyways, and then things like Apple come about.
For me, I agree with the article, especially based on how he wrote it, or the author wrote it. I don't know, male or female, but
He, yeah.
he. Okay, based on how he wrote it, because he was advocating for STEM, liberal art. It was liberal arts and not liberal arts or.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason why I think that it's important as both, but something that is really important, especially in younger groups of people, is fostering critical thinking that liberal arts brings about.
Great.
I agree. I think there's a lot of benefit with studying both.
You think about things that are consistently updated. You could talk about mobile apps. You can talk about user interfaces. Those are from people connections. Those are from people who understand what is most satisfying to the customer. That's not necessarily someone who spent 5 years doing MATLAB.
You think about things a lot more of it's working with how to make it better.
That is all the stuff about critical thinking and stuff. That's why I don't think that his point is based on the major per se. It's more of how much skill set have you learned, and that is, I feel student per student, and not
Right.
all of the, for example, not all of the liberal arts can give you a presentation on some kind of topic, and STEM majors are actually taught that.
Yeah, and I think that going into what you were saying, I think that is something that is very I mean, like, I think that from, like you were saying, by student, it can vary. I think that, like, the critical thinking skills are something that each individual has to develop on their own. It
Great.
isn't necessarily something you can be taught
Yeah,
in class.
exactly.
That's true.
Yeah. For him, it's like either or, right? That's it, for him, it's either or. You know, either
Yeah.
liberal arts or STEM. You know, he
Yeah.
couldn't think about combining. Yeah.
That's true. And he portrays his main point is about skills and like skills that you gain, not actually like classes that you take.
Right.
And he assumes that in STEM people do not gain that knowledge because of the like math, engineering, all the curriculum that is required. However, all engineers end up having the skill set just because of working with other engineers.
And in the article, he argues that although American students get these low test scores, they have these, they can compensate for that. But well, these low test scores have to mean something. You got to have the basic mathematical skills to do your job and
Actually make a product. You can think up a project.
Also, I completely agree with your point about tests because I know there were a lot of studies made that educated, smart, intelligent people were actually bad at tests, and some people who are just trained for specific tests, they had much better results. So testings is not very a good.
Indicator.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And also, what is this? What are these tests or measuring?
that's
You know, are these like questions that require students remember the facts, factual information, or are they focusing on critical thinking and creativity? You also think about that too. You know, it comes up with this idea of testing, but most of these tests are not really designed to test critical thinking and creativity. You know.
That's true.
I think one thing this article really struggles with too is it gets stuck. I mean, like, it mentions Facebook, and nowadays, I mean, I noticed it was written in 2015.
Yeah.
Facebook wasn't as bad then, but and now it's kind of a bad example, but
Yeah.
it is very focused on the tech bubble
Yes.
of the U.S., and it just kind of ignores, like, because, like, you know, I'm in civil engineering, the infrastructure in the U.S., that's part of the reason I'm listening.
Yeah.
It's awful. We need more STEM majors so we can fix that.
Yeah, great point. I think like the way that he kind of defines STEM is all about computer engineering, computer science. You know, he's very narrow-minded in that sense too. Good, good. Keep discussing. You know, like coming up with these ideas in order to, you know, argue with them. Okay?
How would I need that? Yeah. I said it all in 52 seconds. Class record.
I'm so proud of you. Is that on your resume?
No, I said it super fast. I actually remembered it. So if I missed a word, he couldn't figure it out.
At like an internship that's actually like a year round.
And what's third so it's like to be
As
around.
if you like were working at Selcen year round, but it cuts off every month. So it's like solid.
It's like 30 something long. It is a hefty book. I can still do
Is
it.
your picture like up on the wall?
What's the previous record? 54?
It was like 60 something. I destroyed it.
Okay. So did you all share ideas? Okay. So you have good, you know, ideas to counter argument with them. So okay, cool.
Like if he wants to hit like the child when like they're older. And so it's just like a problem that people face because the technology like
Okay. What are the main ideas you have?
That like it's more of like in the liberal arts field and humanities, like it's like looked down upon these days, but
Yeah.
actually like it's the thing that creates the creative mindset.
Yeah.
And that's like I guess like you mentioned, it's important that in EPICS, you know, they have like all majors.
Yeah.
So it gives like a different perspective and not
yeah.
just a bunch of engineers talking.
Good point. What do you think about his way of defining STEM? I mean, he doesn't really say this is how I define STEM, but how do you think he's defining STEM? What are the fields, areas that he's including in STEM?
Science, technology, engineering, mathematics.
Math? Okay, he talks a lot about computer science, right? Mostly.
Yeah, he
The
mainly
tech
talks about math and
technology, yeah.
because he just talks about the exams and stuff. And he always fails.
Yeah.
It's always like math and science.
Math and
exams.
science, yeah, the big part of STEM. Okay. Okay. Cool. Any other ideas? Agree? With the group? Okay, cool. Give them a couple more minutes to be some of the big groups. So when they finalize their ideas, we are going to start. Okay, did you guys have a chance to share your ideas? Okay. Okay, cool. Do we need a little bit more time, or are we ready for the debate? Good. Okay. Should we start with this group? It's going to be a volunteering thing, you know. Again, there is no one right or wrong answer or idea about this topic, but I am going to. Sometimes I'm going to stop you and explain, you know, if you have a misconception or if you have some ideas that doesn't really fit with the recent research, I'm going to add my ideas about that too, you know. Because this was like, again, for like 3-4 years ago, so there are a few things that has been changed. Okay, the first group. Anyone? No volunteers? No critical thinkers, creative people?
They proved their point.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I thought like one of the lines in here that was important was that if you don't have any other skills outside of STEM, then like your own technology could end up replacing you. You have to have those interpersonal skills and creative thinking in order to be more worthy than the technology you're producing. Sorry, I should have that, you guys.
I completely agree with that. However, the main point of his article is that STEM people and students who have STEM degree, they don't have critical thinking. It does not follow with the statement. It's just state in general. But I think our position is that STEM people, even though we're not taught based on curriculum, critical thinking, I don't know, teamwork, leadership, we still gain those skills from different projects, like EPICS, from different areas. And if you think about most of you are in STEM, I think all of you. And if you think about all your projects, all your teamworks, everything that you've done for the year or 2 or 3, you will think that, oh yeah, I was writing an essay about it. I developed critical thinking. Oh yes, I give a presentation.
Or I work on this project with this many group members and things like that. Okay.
I also think I was talking about like how in the U.S. We kind of get a very broad education in the beginning, and that's where we do develop some of those interpersonal skills and things like that. But in other countries, like I know my roommate, she said that she had a focus in chemistry from a very young age, so it's a very specific skill, but she may not be as like well-rounded in other areas. So I think he was trying to argue like the point that it's good to be like more like well-rounded so that you're more flexible in the workforce rather than having a specific skill set.
It's actually a good point. I don't think he received his secondary education or even college degree from US, you know. So he has some points that doesn't really fit in terms of the education here because he doesn't have any experiences going to, you know, secondary school or college here. Yeah, good point.
The author doesn't?
The author, yeah. I don't think so.
He does not know.
Yeah.
What he's talking about.
That's a great point. Yeah, yeah. Okay, any other ideas?
So one thing I kind of mentioned, and I don't know if you guys have any comments about this, but this article doesn't focus on the tech bubble within the U.S. There really isn't a focus. There really isn't any like attention paid on like the infrastructure in the U.S. I'm a civil engineer, and like the infrastructure in the U.S. is like pretty bad. We need more STEM majors to fix that infrastructure. So.
Yeah.
I would say that the main reason why I agree with this article is not is the his thesis is talking about how it's important to integrate liberal arts with STEM and not have only STEM. So only STEM or only liberal arts. So that's the main reason why I would agree.
Do you agree with that? Or do you see it more like he's framing it more like either or approach?
I think he's framing it, in the beginning, he frames it more as either or, but then towards the end, you can kind of see he starts talking more about the critical thinking skills and stuff like that that the humanities courses bring. In the beginning, he talks, he starts talking about these specific majors as examples, like art, like having art majors. Then for Mark Zuckerberg, he says he had a lot of interest in art and stuff like that, but he really doesn't really like say how those majors like exactly built those critical thinking skills like that, like we could do it in STEM majors anyway.
I kind of disagree with that. Like one of the first quotes he talks about is Steve Jobs talking about how it's an Apple's DNA alone, or DNA that technology alone is not enough. That technology married with liberal arts, married with humanities that yields as the result to make our hearts sing. So I think he talks about right off the bat the importance that you integrate STEM and liberal arts. Like you're talking about the infrastructure of the United States. If we only had STEM majors, you wouldn't have all these creative flowing ideas to try to go and fix that problem. You need somebody who like has the skill set